provide us our beverage and our lunch today, sponsored by Fagan Engineers, and it was served by Lorraine, Erica, George, and Brittany. So can we give I have the pleasure and the honor of introducing the co-chair of the Southern Tier Regional Council. You know, we first talk about the 500 million. Well, the co-chair is Tom Tranter. He's also serves in his day job is the president of Corning Enterprises, which has been we've been very blessed to have them and their interest here in Schuyler County. Tom also has here's the one who'll say this. He also is one of the key people that you see on that really boring ad on television right now. So now we know why Tom is the president of Corning Enterprises and not an actor.
Yes.
So, but I do want to take, no, but here's what I'm going to say, because Tom's going to like this. So last night at Project Seneca, I talked about the Jefferson Award and how Schuyler County needs to have, 4 or 5 or 6 submittals this year. On tables, and in fact I left it on several tables, I don't see it here, there is a handout about the Jefferson Award. So this is my opportunity to plug that with Tom here. And there's also a website. So it is sponsored by Corning Enterprises, by Chemung Canal Trust, and by WETM. So please, we have so many great volunteers in our community here in Schuyler. If you can think of someone that's deserving to be recognized, please submit their name. We have until January 31st. So that's enough of that plug. It's my pleasure now to introduce the co-chair of the Regional Council and my friend, Tom Tranter.
Yes, they were really hard up and they needed to make that public service announcement. But I echo what she says. We've been doing the Jefferson Awards for 10 years. So if you know of anybody, please submit their name and we'll go from there. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what the Regional Council has been up to. And I know you've heard a fair amount already today, but I'm going to add a little bit to it. So this was a Cuomo initiative. It was formed right after he was elected in 2011. We are the smallest region by far, 4% of the total state population. Those 8 counties that you can see. And basically, one of the things that's really kind of great about our region, I think, is we're pretty homogeneous. That's not true of a lot of regions. We're basically kind of small cities, villages, and a lot of rural area. And so a lot of common interest, and that's one of the great things that's really come out of the Regional Council, bringing the economic development professionals of all 8 counties together. So, the 5-year mark obviously was the end of 2015, and at that point we had spent from the state about $270 million, and that leveraged about $1.8 billion in private investment. So it was about a 6-to-1 ratio. The state standard, as most of you know, I think that are involved with this, is 5-to-1. So we were above that. The other thing I heard you talking a little bit about, just kind of, again, I'm giving you the, I would call it the 5,000-foot view, but of that 270 million, about 125 million of that was from Empire State Development, and the other portion was the other consolidated funding agencies that I heard Joe mention some of them, but like Department of State, Main Street, Parks and Recreation. There's about 16 different categorical programs that are funded. The other thing that we're quite proud of is we have actually won 4 out of 5 of the competitions, which when you consider they only picked 3, that's pretty good. So I was going to just run through real quick in those first few years, a couple of the success stories. Emhart Glass just moved into the Taylor Road building that was vacated by Sikorsky. They have been expanding, a real nice little company that now is up to about over 200 employees. Our biggest project was a Corning project, and that was the expansion of our heavy-duty diesel. This shows you we added about 200,000 square feet, so that now is up to 750,000 square feet. building that employs about 725 people, soon to be 750 to 800. So that was a great expansion and a lot of investment and high-paying jobs in the area. The first arena, and actually that's going to be under new ownership, we think, in the very near future, but there were some significant improvements made there. A couple here, very nice in Schuyler County. Dan Bauer. This seemed like it took forever, but now it's almost done, and it's a great project. And Dan will be renting out those units this summer. As a matter of fact, the sign's up and it's going. And of course, you guys were really way ahead of the curve, and I give the leadership in the community, Judy, Tim O'Hearn, Rick Weekland, the mayors, John, and actually there's been a couple of mayors in the village of Watkins, but the community all came together and really developed what I call a master plan, and that's really what is needed. If you have good planning, you're going to get good results in your grant applications, and that's precisely what's occurred with Project Seneca. And here is a diagram that I think is about a year old, but it does show the potential. Some of what has already been achieved, I think Judy last night's on $108 million has already been committed, and there's several projects on the docket for this year. And Project Seneca got $1.05 million, as well as the Montour Falls Trail, as well as the wine processing center, and this new round. So again, a lot on the plate, and a lot of good momentum. The renovation, for example, of the old school in the apartments was a great project. Again, there's just a lot of really success stories right here in one of the smaller areas of our region. But again, I commend the community, and that's, by the way, what Cuomo was trying to do with all this, have a kind of a bottom-up approach instead of the state dictating everything. And that has worked. Here's another one that's going to be built this summer, and that's at Watkins Glen State Park. The state's invested about $6.5 million. We're still fighting for the last million, but we're confident we'll get it. But that's going to be a tremendous improvement right in the heart of the downtown, and one of the largest attractions as far as drawing people in the state. A couple other projects, the Clemens Center, we did a nice project there. The regional incubator called the Alpha Technology Incubator Works, another good project. Arbor Housing, we were thrilled to bring them to Corning. They previously were in Big Flats and Bath. They consolidated and come to Corning, took the old Harley-Davidson auto, and really did a tremendous conversion. And that's where they're located, and then they rent out some extra space to Journey Fitness. This one of the things that I haven't really talked a lot about is the real intent of Cuomo's initiative is job creation. And so you have to have a master plan. So when this started, Susan Payne from my team, who I think many of you know, she actually wrote our plan with a lot of input from public meetings and that. But one of the data points in the plan, and there's a lot of data, believe me, and that's one of the things, as Joe will tell you, the state really wants to see is the coordination with all that information. And so the number one occupation in our region, by far, as far as growth, is nursing. Baccalaureate nurses. We've grown by 25% in the next 2 years. And you will see the first nursing school we expanded significantly was Elmira College. But you're going to see this repeated. And the reason is all these kids graduate, they get hired, and most of them stay in the area. And of course, that's all a function of us all getting older. But the fact is, it's a great occupation. We also cut the ribbon on the Watkins Glen International repaving, which was about a $12 million investment, of which the state put in $2.3 million. A terrific upgrade up here. I saw Beth Dwayne back there. They had a $65 million investment, and the expansion of the Corning Museum of Glass. And the state participated with the International Motor Coach entrance. And they're really on target. They were drawing about 400,000 people. Last year, we were 460,000. And I know her goal is 500,000. So we'll get there in the next couple of years. Here's the track again. So what was new in 2016, and this is where we really did well, is the Upstate Revitalization Initiative. And this was the competition proposed by the governor. People called it the Hunger Games. They called it, let's see, economic development money on steroids. I've heard a few of these comments, but it was, you take the 10 regions, you compete for $500 million over 5 years, in addition to your annual competition for the CFA funds. So that's what we're in. We won. We just got a report, Judy was at the meeting, from our director where the first $100 million went in the year 2016. And you can see that kind of separates the men from the boys, so to speak, as far, or the women from the girls, right? In any event, you can see the tremendous influx that that's going to bring, and what it does for our region, and what a tremendous opportunity it is. And again, we had to do a new plan. So the first 5 years was done. We had to do a new plan. Fortunately, Susan Payne helped us again. And again, this time they wanted even more emphasis on jobs, wages, increase in wealth, and the private sector participation. So this kind of shows you the plan. There's our regional council. It's got, I believe, 5 people from Schuyler County, a total of almost 40 people involved. But these were the key components of our plan. One of the things, innovation. People don't realize we have the highest in the state innovation dollars. That's primarily because you got a facility in Corning that spends $1 billion. You got one in Cornell that spends about $750 million, and one in Binghamton that spends about $500 million. So $2.3 billion in annual research and development. So innovation was a cornerstone, building on our assets, trying to not only attract talent here, but retain the people that lead. One of the, again, startling figures to me is there's 17,000 college students in our 8 counties, and we only keep between 5 and 7% of them here after they graduate. So we've got to have more opportunities to keep them here. That's pretty clear. Job creation, I said, is very important. The regional connectivity as far as, again, the collaboration and the partnerships, and that's really worked out well as the clusters and some of our focus areas, and then reinvest in the communities. And one of the things that I am proudest of in this whole regional council process is, at least in all my years, this is the first time that the state has actually been investing on a continuing basis in the local communities. You know, for too long it was, oh, we're going to try this program, we do it for 3 or 4 years, it stops, and then it's on to something else. And the good thing about this, in my view, is we've had 6, now on to 7 years, because the governor announced yesterday another $750 million this year for competition as well. So they branded us, state, Southern Tier Soaring is our brand. Obviously a little connection with a lot of the things that we do here. But here's some other projects that are pretty exciting. I want you to know the best form of a compliment is repeat what somebody else was successful at. And that's exactly what Hammondsport has done. They've modeled on a much smaller scale what you've done on Project Seneca. And they did their Urbana Hotel was opened last year. They've got a waterfront plan that's pretty exciting. I'll show you a picture in a minute. Anchor Glass expanded, which was kind of below the radar, but a tremendous investment by them, adding another furnace, about another 30 jobs. bringing them to, I believe it's like 330 employees. Cameron Manufacturing has expanded. Here's the new Hammondsport Pier, and this is kind of their master plan of redoing Champlain Park. All that's going on, they've got new condominiums on the waterfront, a walking, hiking, biking trail to the Curtis Museum. Again, a lot of investment in that relatively small village that's going to begin this summer. Actually, the hotel was finished last summer. Another project that is really exciting for all of us is the Southern Tier Network, which is a dark fiber access. It's going to be over a fiber ring that's over 400 miles. It started with Chemung, Schuyler, and Steuben, and now involves Yates, Tioga, Broome, and Tompkins. The initial money was $10 million from Corning Incorporated, $3 million from the counties, and $5 million from the state. And the latest information I have, it's been over 300 miles that have